The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRCMedia, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
This week on FRCmedia News, history is made in Fall River with the appointment of its first female police chief. Fall River looks to reclaim a former school building, and a local group commemorates Mental Illness Awareness Week. All this and more coming up. It's Thursday, October 10th, 2024. This is FRCmedia News. I'm Keith Tebow. Fall River Mayor Paul Coogan has announced that Captain Kelly Furtado will assume the role of interim police chief. Captain Furtado is the first woman to serve as the city's top cop.
Becoming the first female chief in Fall River's history is a responsibility I carry with pride. Not just for myself, but for every woman in law enforcement and every young girl with big dreams. I'm grateful to the officers, mentors, community leaders who have supported me along the way. This is an achievement that we all share. Policing thrives on unity and by recognizing each person's strengths and working together. In working together, we can achieve great things. My commitment is to create a department where every member feels empowered and valued.
Captain Furtado is a Fall River native with her father, husband, and son either having served or currently serving in the Fall River Police Department. She was hired in 1988, first serving as a dispatcher before moving up the ranks as a community officer, handling domestic violence and child abuse cases, leading school resource officers, and as captain, placed in charge of the Special Operations Division. Mayor Paul Coogan says even though Captain Furtado's hiring is historic, it played no role in her appointment.
From my perspective, we promote the best. We promote the best, we hire the best. I know many of these female police officers were students of mine at Durfee, so I know the quality and the character they have, and I know what an asset they are to our department. And as I said, there's not one job in that department that Chief Furtado has not had. So she knows how it works and she knows how things should go. And that's why she's standing here today. It's not really because she's a woman, although it is a historic moment for the city and I'm glad to be part of it. But I think she'll do a good job if her name was Jack Furtado.
Captain Furtado will begin her role next week when she's officially sworn in. She says her top priority as chief is to foster a sense of teamwork among all officers and look for ways to make the department more efficient.
My main focus is to reorganize the department. These are all the people I've worked with, and they know I've said this for at least 10 years. This place is still running like 1968 when my father was hired. It's still the same way. So we need to reinvigorate, we need to modernize, we need to do some reorganizing to maximize our manpower issue.
Having served as a police officer in the Corky Row and Flint neighborhoods, Captain Furtado recognizes the importance community policing can play to promote a safe city.
Community policing has always been unit focused, and I really think it's so important for officers to be able to experience everything and to experience the community, where right now it's just a certain amount of officers that get to experience the good in the community, right? So for me, it's great when people are working and they get to experience the bad and the good of policing, but then you have like the uniform division that just is that mundane call after call after call. So I think it's healthy for the younger officers to start taken on some of that community policing, getting them involved with going to the events, getting them involved in going to neighborhood groups, getting them to buy in to the community policing mindset. And that's twofold. One, it's great for the community. Two, it's great for them.
The appointment of Captain Furtado follows Mayor Paul Coogan and Chief Paul Garvin mutually agreeing for Garvin to step down as chief following votes of no confidence in Garvin's leadership within the department by 2 police unions. Garvin will return as captain and lead the department's major crimes division. Mayor Coogan says Garvin's contract expires in May and the city has time to search for a permanent police chief. The Florida Educators Association and the school committee remain in a stalemate over a 3-year contract for city teachers. The two sides met this week for another bargaining session. FREA President Keith Michon says that even though some issues are being resolved, the two sides remain deadlocked on compensation.
We exchanged proposals on all outstanding issues. Right now we have about 60 tentative agreements, 60 outstanding issues that we're trying to resolve. I think we made progress on parental leave, which is great. We're still working on the salary. We did not get a response from the committee yesterday, so we've got some work to do there. We're trying to be competitive in the market. So when other districts are doing better for their teachers, it's a hard pill to swallow because our educators are doing outstanding things for our students. So we expect the district to do at least keep up with the market.
The union has submitted a wage proposal based on teacher seniority. It's looking for a 7% increase for lower step teachers with an 8% raise for those on the higher levels in year 1. In years 2 and 3, the FREA seeks a 7% and an 8.5% hike based on seniority. The city has not moved from its proposal of 7% and 8% in year 1 and 5% for all levels in years 2 and 3. Mayor Paul Coogan feels the city's current offer is fair.
The fight we're discussing is, are we making the best offer in the state to our teachers, or are we second? It seems like it's come down to that. I know the offer we made them is quite substantial. I mean, everybody, knows how important the teachers are to the functioning of a school system. So we've treated them like that throughout the negotiations. And I think, going forward, we will continue to act like that. We're gonna look at a few other things we may or may not be able to do. I think there was some talk about, having the financial teams get together and work on the numbers to see exactly what we're talking about and how far apart we are. There's only so much we can do, even with the Student Opportunity Act. So we'll continue to negotiate. We'll continue to work with the union.
This week, the FREA collected over 800 signatures from members on a petition supporting union leadership. Those petitions were delivered to Mayor Coogan and the Fall River City Council. Both Mayor Coogan and the union feel the other side is not showing a sense of urgency in working toward a resolution.
It's tough. The members are frustrated, and it's very concerning to me that we missed an opportunity in the spring to recruit people and retain people, and then in the summer the same, and now the people that we have are very frustrated with what's going on. I think there is a sense of urgency on our side. We're making very thoughtful proposals. I think we could meet 100 times, and if we're getting the responses that we've gotten so far, we wouldn't have an agreement. So it's not about the number of meetings, it's about the responses that we've received.
The FREA has been working without a contract since its current agreement expired on August 31st. Mr. Michon says the union has become more visible in showing displeasure with the progress of negotiations.
We have been doing our visibility standouts in the mornings, 1 day a week, and that's a form of work to rule. Going into the building right at the start time, it's that's the lowest level, and then from there could be further things that people add on. We have members that are ready to take extreme job actions. It's important that we educate them on the right way to do that. Overwhelming majority of our members do not want to impact student learning, so we're trying to work within the limitations there without disrupting the schools. Like open houses, we didn't want to discourage members from attending open houses, but we had a presence at the open house to talk to parents outside the building. So we'll continue to do those type of things, and we'll see where the actions go.
The two sides are scheduled to meet next on October 23rd. The city will soon once again be in possession of an abandoned school building. In 2014, the city sold the Duval School on Flint Street to the Flint Neighborhood Association for just over $5,000. The organization had plans to make repairs to the building and use it as a community center. Under the agreement, if the property was not rehabilitated, the city could retain ownership. Mayor Paul Coogan says the property has been used primarily by residents willing to pay for off-street parking. He's looking at ways the building can benefit the neighborhood.
Let's look at that and decide what's going to be the best use of that building going forward. I'm gonna put that out to auction and see what people want to do with it. If they're going to renovate it, obviously we'd like to get some housing in there. We'd like to get some, maybe a veteran's preference. Those are things we would try to work with a developer to do. But right now that building is in pretty difficult shape. We have a real kind of a challenging situation there. We'd like someone to take it over. We'd like someone to improve the look of that building. We'd like someone to make sure it's serving the residents of the Flint.
The building has been used by the Gates of Hope Food Pantry to store supplies. The mayor says the interior of the building is not safe, and he's willing to work with the organization to find another location for its pantry. We continue to look at some of the local races city voters will experience at the November 5th state election. When Fall River voters head to the polls, they'll be asked to pick between two candidates to serve as a member of the Governor's Council. The council meets weekly to approve payments to the state payroll, as well as appointments of judges, clerks, and notaries. It also approves pardons and commutations proposed by the governor. Fall River sits within Governor's Council District 1 and runs from northern Bristol and Plymouth counties east through Cape Cod and the islands. Democrat Joseph Ferreira of Somerset is the incumbent seeking his sixth two-year term. He's a former Somerset police chief and has practiced law for 30 years. He says the state has a structured process to help the governor select qualified judicial appointees. He wants to continue to use his position to promote judicial appointees from southeastern Massachusetts.
I use my talents that I have, and I try to recruit people from our area, and it was very successful. So we have a lot of great people that graduated, like I did, from UMass Law, who we now call judges and clerks. And I always advocate for local people to be on the bench, to be clerks. I can go along with these people from Springfield, Boston, whatever, but we also need our people from southeastern Mass. Yeah. So, they have paid attention historically. And right now I'm trying to get more local people, like in my 48 cities and towns. Right now, I don't have one person on a JNC, Judicial Nomination Commission. Like I said, there's 27, I should have 3. Mm-hmm. So I'm constantly on their backs, like you need to appoint geographically people from this. We had a couple that just resigned, one for a medical reason, another one for another reason. But I'm looking and I'm pushing hard to make sure that we are represented. So when people first apply, we have representation too.
Mr. Ferreira has served under the administrations of former Governor Charlie Baker and current Governor Maura Healey. He views his relationship with the administration as valuable to the district.
I have incredible access to the governor's office. So not only do I work on the judges, the clerks, and the pardons and commutations, but if I have a regional problem, like sometimes a state senator or a state rep will say, hey, Joe, can you get the governor's ear on this for us, for the region? And both Polito, Baker, and Healey Driscoll, they've both been very, very accessible. And they have a listening ear. And so, I use it to our region's advantage that I have access to the governor. And again, it could be a myriad of problems. It could be a highway issue or, any kind of people want grants or whatever it is.
Mr. Ferreira is opposed by independent candidate Kristen Condon. The Wareham resident is a practicing attorney in Plymouth County, and this is her first run for a political office. She says she wants to take politics out of the judicial appointment process, and one way to do that is to look beyond just the qualifications of an appointee.
I see how our judicial system needs to have more education and more flexibility in consideration of those kind of things like drug addiction, like mental health issues. And that's what of the focuses that I do, is to make sure that the judges are taking into consideration the people who are actually in front of them. Unfortunately, a lot of judges are out of touch with reality. They don't understand what it's like to live in the Commonwealth and have to work at a 9-to-5 job where each week's paycheck doesn't last till the next week. They don't understand the difficulties of raising families when money's tight. They don't understand the difficulties of trying to maintain your conduct when you're also trying to juggle things like addiction, mental health. So those are going to be my focuses, to make sure that that those are addressed by the judges that we have that come in.
If elected, Ms. Condon says she will collaborate with the 7 other counselors and the governor while maintaining her independent voice.
I have a very strong personality. Anybody who knows me, or anybody who has had any time with me, knows that I'm a very strong personality and I make my opinion known. I will work hard with the other individuals, with the other 7 on the council, to come to a consensus, but also to try and convince them of my opinion when I feel very strongly about certain issues. I think that I'll try to work really hard to make it so that it's a reasonable relationship, but I won't have any problem going against the grain and going against the tide when I think that it's necessary in a certain situation.
You can view all the interviews in their entirety with the candidates we've spoken to in this year's election by visiting our FRC Media Election 2024 webpage at frmedia.org/election 2024. We'll have more FRC Media news after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Maintenance mechanic. Whirlpool Corporation, located at 88 Current Road, seeks a part-time maintenance mechanic, responsible for performing diversified duties to install, troubleshoot, repair, and maintain production and facility equipment. Job number 215-55851. Shift Supervisor. AutoZone, located at 870 North Main Street, is seeking a full-time shift supervisor to assist the store manager with supervising, training, and developing store personnel. Job number 215-54855. Supervisor of Environmental Services. The state of Massachusetts is looking for a full-time supervisor of environmental services, responsible for supervising the routine and non-routine activities of the Environmental Services Department at Corrigan Mental Health Center. Job number 215-49320. Tax Associate. H&R Block, located at 276 Central Street, is looking for a full-time tax associate. For more information, call 508-676-0025. Health First Family Care Center, located at 387 Quarry Street, has an immediate need for the following full and part-time positions. Dental Center Rep. Job number 215-54181. LPN, job number 215-54214. For more information about these or other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. We're heading into the colder months of fall and winter, so that means it's time to get protected against seasonal flu and COVID infections. Fall River Director of Health and Human Services Tess Curran says the timing of when people may become susceptible to catching the flu and COVID varies.
The CDC is estimating that it will likely look similar to last year's respiratory season. So my understanding is they're looping both COVID and flu into that. But depending on our rates of COVID, if they kind of continue, they're a little high right now. If they continue where they're at, then maybe that COVID peak will be later. If they kind of taper off now, we can expect, December, January for potentially another COVID, increase, as well as a flu increase around that January timeframe as well.
Ms. Curran is encouraging residents to get the latest flu and COVID vaccines, preferably by the end of this month, to be protected through the winter. She says vaccine awareness has increased since the pandemic, yet not everyone follows through to get those shots.
I think some folks are more apt to get their vaccines, and then there's folks that are less apt to get their vaccines. It's unfortunate because, vaccines really make a difference. Again, whether or not you have the flu, your symptoms will be reduced. So it's important to protect, yourself and your loved ones. So, getting vaccines is such an integral part of public health, and we're really continue to encourage folks to get the vaccines. We have seen more people, interested in the flu vaccine, and people less interested in the COVID vaccine. Certainly, we're encouraging people to get both. Just because you have mild COVID symptoms at one point, that doesn't mean with a new variant those symptoms will change. So the most you can do to protect yourself, and even if you have immunity from an infection, if you boost that immunity with a vaccine, your protection can really last a bit longer versus just relying on that immunity from an infection.
Those who may have difficulty getting to a community vaccination location may be eligible for an in-home vaccination. Ms. Curran also recommends residents to take advantage of securing free COVID tests through the federal government by visiting covidtests.gov. The Bristol County Chapter of the National Alliance on Mental Illness, or NAMI, held a ceremony this week commemorating Mental Illness Awareness Week, held every first week of October. The event celebrated the work of 3 individuals making a positive impact in caring for the mentally ill. There was also a remembrance of those who have passed from the disease. NAMI of Bristol County Director Brenda Venice says despite greater acceptance in the community for those with mental illness, there's still room for additional education and awareness.
1 in 5 adults with mental illness every year. 50% of chronically mental illness begins at the age of 14. Although many people understand that mental illness is a medical condition, there are many that have myths surrounding mental illness conditions. There's myth, there's stigma, there's discrimination. So by having Mental Illness Awareness Week and World Mental Health Day, which is Thursday, where it tells everyone, gives them the opportunity to learn, to understand about mental health, to advocate for people that need it, and that's why we do what we do today.
We will wrap up this edition of FRC Media News right after this.
Hi, welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have Rico Suave, and just like his interesting name, he's a mix of a few different breeds. We believe he's clearly mixed breed. We're thinking maybe some hound, maybe a boxer or pit, something like that. He's very energetic. He's about he's about 4 years old, but he's still very energetic, very active. He does need a little bit of training on his leash, but he's actually aims to please. Children, we are looking for 12 or older, just because of his size and because of how active he is. But he's a very good boy. He does like his food. He likes his treats. He's all around just a good boy. And look at him too. He's handsome as heck. With his nice brindle coat that's here, that dark face there. He's got a good smile to match. So if you'd like to meet Rico, you can come down to 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Massachusetts at Forever Paws Animal Shelter.
Today we have Maple. She is a year-old female, and she came all the way from Puerto Rico just to be with us. She's very sweet, very social when it comes to people. Cats, not so much. She kind of likes to be on her own, but with people, she's very, very sweet. She's a domestic short hair calico specifically. She's kind of more of a tabby calico, so she looks very unique. She likes to be a lap cat, so if you're sitting down, she's going to be all over you. So she'll be a good reading buddy, maybe a good, work from home buddy, that kind of thing. She is still, on the younger side, so she's a little bit playful. She's not crazy like a kitten would be, but if you throw her on the ball, she'll definitely play with you, keep you entertained. I would recommend older kids just because she can be a little short. You know, when she's done being pet, she'll let you know. If you want to meet Maple, you can come down to 300 Lidwin Street in Fall River, Massachusetts, and make an appointment to meet Maple today.
My name is David Perry. I'm the president of the Greater Fall River Food Pantry. And what we do here is we provide food to clients that are in need. We're always trying to get more people involved in what we're doing. And we're trying to concentrate on youth, you know, and it's all about helping people, and that's what we should all be doing, is helping someone. So it's a great opportunity for them to, you know, come down here and give us a couple of hours a week. It's not long, it's 2 hours a day, and once they start volunteering, it's like a family, it really is. So getting these younger people involved, you know, it's just great. It's great to see, it's great to have younger generations seeing what's going on in the real world, as they call it, and helping out.
I've gotten a new outlook on the community. I've been able to see all sides, helped me learn just a lot about Fall River as a whole.
We like to get students in from 14 years of age and older. It's not about the Greater Fall River Community Food Pantry. It's about what the Greater Fall River Community Food Pantry does as an outreach. We want to reach out to the community. Most schools require that the students put in volunteer hours. We're a perfect example of receiving those students, and that way they get their hours accredited, and it gives them a good learning experience.
Volunteering here made you feel good, you know, felt like you were helping out the community, and also it really helped me out with making my application stand out with having volunteer hours on them. Like when I'm applying for jobs, I've been on the hunt right now, and I've done a lot more interviews since I did charity work here. Makes you really stand out, and also just feels good helping out the community.
I love hearing other people's lives, how other people live, other people's families. It's interesting, and I really like to do this work.
Come down and see what it's like. Come down and take an opportunity to help someone else. You know, come and see what's really happening in the world out there.
That's all for this edition of FRC Media News. You can visit our website at frmedia.org for all the latest news and local information, as well as our special Election 2024 webpage. FRC Media News airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. For all of us at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Please enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you next Thursday.